In Nigeria, going to the hospital is not just about treatment. Sometimes it's an adventure. Dan didn't plan to fall sick that week. That life had other ideas. It started with a simple fever. It's just malaria, he said confidently, lying on his bed like a man who had diagnosed himself since 2005. His sister, Rita, stood with her hands on her waist. Every time it's just malaria until you start seeing your ancestors. Dan rolled his eyes. I'm fine, Jer. 2 days later, he was not fine. By the time they reached the hospital, Dan was weak, sweating, and regretting every life decision. A nurse at the reception looked up. What is the problem? Rita answered quickly. Fever, weakness, he's been down for days. The nurse nodded calmly. Okay, go and get a bed. Ada blinked. Sorry? The nurse repeated, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Go and bring a bed. Dan slowly raised his head. In this hospital? Or from my house? The nurse didn't even smile. Anywhere you see one. Rita stared for a few seconds, then laughed. Because surely, this had to be a joke. It wasn't. After some back and forth, they managed to find a space. Dan was finally laid down. Peace at last. Or so they thought. 5 minutes later, light went off. The fan stopped. The room became quiet. Too quiet. Then suddenly, hot. Very hot. Dan opened one eye slowly. Rita. Yes? I think I'm getting cooked. A nurse walked past casually. Rita stopped her. Please, there's no light. The nurse shrugged. Yes, it happens. So what do we do? The nurse looked at them like they asked a silly question. If you have a fan, you can bring it. Dan sat up halfway. Bring fan? Like, from home? The nurse nodded. Or generator? Rita turned slowly to look at her brother. Dan whispered, at this point, should we just bring the whole house? Despite everything, they couldn't stop laughing. Because honestly, what else could they do? Later that evening, after some struggle, proper care finally started. Drips were set. Tests were done. And slowly, Dan began to recover. One evening, as he sat up eating small food, he looked at Rita and said, You know something? Rita raised an eyebrow. What? Next time I'm sick, I'm packing a bag. A bag? Yes. Bed, fan,